Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Valence League. We are today with a great game from Division 3, Group A. We have Sacramentum versus Built by Us Academy, and this should be a banger. Both are undefeated as of yet in the season. I'm Motojo. I'm here with Demise. How excited are you for this one?
Hello, how are you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Well, it's gonna be a really fun game because, as you just said, both teams are 3-0 in Division 3A. But the difference is, Bill Bias Academy haven't dropped a single game. Sacramentum, in their three best of three series, they only had a single clean 2-0. The other games were 2-1. So it would be really interesting to see how would they stack up against the undefeated team in the division so far.
Yeah, 6-0 in three best of threes is not a record we see all too often. So Built by Us Academy should be the slight favorites today. To be fair, though, I'd say Sacramentum have had tougher opponents on average, so I'm interested to see how this one turns out as we're about to be ready to hop into Champion Select as soon as the teams are ready. I'm especially interested in this top lane matchup today with BR God versus Organized Crisis.
Yeah,
And
it would
what
be a really
today?
interesting matchup. Because Organized Crisis is an Urgot player, and recently BR God, he's usually known as the Renekton main, but he's recently been unbenched the Kench super hard in solo queue. So it will be really interesting to see the ban swings, because Tom Kench is a really oppressive top laner right now.
Yeah, definitely. What nerfed him as a support made him even stronger in the solo lanes. Now that he's got even more CC and a little more combat power in the 1v1. So let's see what the teams decide to ban. All right, this is already a non-ban.
Oh,
Just pitching the question to production. Do you know of any ban losses in the competitive rulings today, or was that not on purpose? Oh, okay, yeah. Philippines
and
Academy will be losing their first three bans in the first game due to a late lock-in submission. Thank you. And with that, we know why BR God is letting their clock run out. The Tom Kench that you mentioned earlier is banned already, though.
yeah, and there are a lot of power picks remaining for the side of BBUA. Like Stingy, especially, like he has a really nasty Victor. He has his Vel'Koz, Thresh Princess with the Thresh, of course. And like it will be really interesting to see like how the game would go with this many bans left open for both teams. And as
I
we've
think,
seen, the
yeah,
Victor
the
is
next is gone.
banned.
I assume the Vel'Koz is going to be the next ban. Wouldn't make much sense to take away one of his two insanely successful solo queue picks and leave the other one open, but we'll see what Sacramentum decide to do. Because there is, as you mentioned, the Thresh. There could be other champions that Imol or Yan
Yeah.
are playing
So
in
you
solo
have the
queue.
Thresh and you have the Senna on Yan as well.
Yeah, that is a very impressive champion as well if you know how to pilot it well, especially in these lower divisions where personal pocket picks can have a bigger impact. If you just know your champion inside out, you can make big surprises. And there's something I love about these lower leagues that we get to see champions we don't always get to see in pro play. And the Mundo has been the third ban, so let's see what BBUA lock in as their first pick.
Yeah, and BR God has already been pinched in the first phase of the ban phase, and now he's either gonna have he has the Renekton open and he has Malphite open, but what do he do? And it's the Vel'Koz for Stingy.
Yeah, he's been very successful on that one. Similarly to the Victor in solo queue, I believe around 60% win rate in around 90 games. So no slouch on that champion. Very confident in blind picking it, obviously, as well. So we'll have to see how this mid lane develops. Let's see what the answer is from Sacramento.
Indeed, and Vel'Koz indicates a little bit of a hybrid between poke and burst with like how his rotations work, which would be really interesting to see if BBUA decide to go with a team that is like that mid to long range with like pick potential, like just like supporting the Vel'Koz. But so far, Sacramentum is just going for the hard engage. You can see Nocturne Shen, that's a really strong double global ultimate combo.
Yeah, and I also love it against the Vel'Koz because, as you mentioned, with the poke range that Vel'Koz has, and simultaneously lots of damage that can burst you down if you get hit by the slow or the knockout, Nocturne will just say, I'm not needing to be in your range to engage on you. I see you, I press R, I click on you, and you die.
Yeah, and there is the Lee Sin that is a signature of MOK right there. And that would be really interesting because now you have a lot of strong early game power. So you can try to like stagnate both the Nocturne and the Shen. And he can serve as an engage to whatever will be the third pick for Bill Bias Academy, which is the Hover of the Trundle. And I
There we go.
think that is the top lane pick to counter the Shen, which is probably gonna leave the mid lane counter pick up for Sacramentum.
Yeah, they probably should lock it in now, unless they want to start getting their own mid lane pool pinched. As the second bans are going to be available for Build by Us Academy. Let's see what Darkweave wants to lock in here. If he wants to hide his mid lane pick, nope, he's going all in. There is the gauntlet thrown down. Zed is his lock in.
And they're just throwing the whole kitchen sink right there. They just like, okay, you're gonna pick Vel'Koz. You want to like zone us out? No, man, we don't care about that. We have the Death Mark, we have the Shadows, we have the Paranoia, we have the Stand United. We're gonna go, and when we're gonna go hard, and you'll have no chance. And as you can see, there's already the pinching in bot lanes because both bot lanes hasn't been picked yet, and it's the
Yeah,
Thresh and the Morgana.
I like the Thresh ban when you want to go this hard with Nocturne Shen Zed. Taking away that lantern, that possibility to get like half a screen away on the click of a button, should be really powerful here. And let's see if they continue pinching their opposition's pool in protection of their engaged Lee Sin already. Could be annoying if Nocturne doesn't time his spell shield well. He goes in, Lee kicks him away, would be very bad. Ziggs, though, no additional zone control coming from the bot lane here for the side of BBUA.
Yeah, and Ziggs has been played extensively by Yan recently in solo queue, so they're probably just like trying to avoid the double AP poke comp from the side of Bill Bias right there. And that is really important if they're gonna like draft the mid to short range bot lane, which would be the best supplement to the already initial three picks on the red side. And the last pick is the Jinx,
Right?
which doesn't really fit that well with what Sacramento is going for, but it is a really power pick in this current state and the current like game stat.
Yeah, they have been full AD up until now, so I'm not sure if banning the Jinx was really necessary. To be fair, though, BBO haven't drafted a full complete tank as of yet, so wouldn't be all too necessary to go for magic damage. They're going halfsies on this one with the Kai'Sa. That does still deal a decent amount of magic damage, but is mostly an AD carry.
Yeah, and the Kai'Sa does complement what they're going for. You can see like they have an idea of what they want to do in this draft, which is attacking BR God because the BR God plays the poke mages, the control mages, and they want to exploit the weaknesses of that point as he is their star player in Bill Bias Academy. And the Ezreal Bayan is just ensuring safety. So the only person that is threatened by lack of mobility right now is BR God outside of everyone in Bill Bias Academy.
I, yeah, you probably mean Stingy here with the Vel'Koz.
Oh,
Because
Stingy, yeah, I'm
I
sorry.
do assume the Vel'Koz will be going mid lane. Something I'm already a little bit concerned about for BBUA is their engage. I don't really see any engage beside Lee Sin flashing forward with the insect. Yeah, sure, Braum can use his ultimate to try and engage, but the range on that isn't terribly far when you try to engage with this, and especially with this Karma that can make the whole team run away even faster. I'm struggling to see how BBUA are going to engage on this comp. I do assume engages are going to be happening on the terms of Sacramentum. Now it's on them to execute them, of course, because Lee Sin and Ezreal are two very mobile champions. They will be going hard for this Vel'Koz, though.
Indeed, and it's really like from the looks of it, it's really gonna depend on the setup by BBU Academy right there. Because if you don't have zone control of like where you want to skirmish, or maybe around Dragon, around Baron later on, that would be really hard for you to enter the Dragon Pit or the Baron Pit with all the movement speed that Karma has, and the fact that you have to walk into them. Yes, you have poke, but you don't have the penetration capable to like make an engage on the side of Sacramentum here, which can just pull the trigger whenever they want or disengage whenever they want with the karma. That is a really good counter pick right there.
Yeah, I really like the composition they have crafted for themselves here. With a clear identity, they want to go in, they want to control the battlefield on their terms, want to engage and disengage, as you said, with the Nocturne or the Karma. The Shen is there for additional protection of these engages. Only thing worrying a little bit here is sustained damage. If they do not manage to kill the Vel'Koz and or the Ezreal in early stages of a fight, they're going to have trouble getting through the front line of Trundle, Lee Sin, and Braum. So it's all going to be about this initial engage of the Nocturne or the Karma speeding everyone up and everyone going in. But I think these fights are going to be really interesting when we see them in the team fight phase. But now, as we see both compositions and what they can do, who do you think has this early game in the bag, lane priority wise and early dragon control, for example?
Looking from the state of the drafts right here, I would say Wilby's Academy have a good lead in both mid and bot lane, and they're gonna probably have Prio there. The Shen Trundle matchup is really interesting because it has a lot of intricacies around the block, the W from the Shen, that can sway the matchup, but most likely is gonna be Trundle favored as he out sustains the Shen eventually when the lane goes like long enough for like through 5, 6 levels, which is gonna give BBU Academy the time that they need to try to enable Lee Sin, because eventually Lee Sin is gonna taper off as the game progresses, because now the only thing you'll have from Lee Sin eventually, like by level like 14, 15, like in a 20, 25 minute game where like you're playing for soul, it's primarily gonna be the engage and the face tank value, which you don't really need because like your fights are already gonna be like medium to long range and you're gonna try to get Stingy and Yan to attack without being attacked back and poke. So it is really like reliant on Imoki right here to get something going for him to be relevant for the rest of the game, outside of like an insane insect like kick inside of BBU Academy.
Yeah, I very much agree. It is going to be very much about these dragon control areas as well. Because if you can get the early dragons as BBU Academy and can look towards that Dragon Soul win option, you can actually force um, Sacramentum to engage on you. The thing is, you still have to execute. Then you still have to defend that Nocturne, probably with a Shen riding on top of him, Kai'Sa riding right behind, shielded up by the Karma. You still have to survive that engage, but you have a lot better chance of doing that when you are the ones controlling the timing a little bit with control over this dragon or later the Baron area. If Sacramentum have the control, have the early dragons, and can force when these fights are going to happen, in addition to how, I really don't see BBU Academy getting an advantage in the mid to late game, unless they completely outplay, of course, which is always possible.
Indeed, and it's really all gonna depend on setup. And like you have Ezreal Braum, which is one of the best really bot lane duos for trying to get some sort of pick going on, or like an early level 2 fight, which I think they're really gonna go for, because as we just said, like BBU needs to make sure that Sacramentum is coming into them, not the other way around, so they can land the poke and stuff